like to thank the Lions Club for organising this event, and I hope that you'll all enjoy, if that's the word, this afternoon. I hope that you'll get some benefit out of the talk that we'll have this afternoon. We gathered here this afternoon to learn stories about the people who reside here on the hill in Penguin. There are some fascinating stories to be learned from them. The first recorded deaths in Penguin, the first recorded death was that of a baby by the name of John Lancaster in 1865. And that was just 4 years after European settlement here. The first recorded burial was that of Eliza Ann Hales, who died at 39 years of age during childbirth. And she's buried in this cemetery on the 23rd of January 1869. And at the end of our walk today, we'll walk near to her grave. So let us move across now to the old section of the cemetery to hear the first story. Obviously we're currently standing in the new section, but the interesting stories that we'll hear this afternoon are up here in the old cemetery. So follow me, we'll find the first one. Francis Hector Good. The death notice read, Good, accidentally killed at Penguin on November the 27th, Francis Hector, dearly beloved son of Mr. and Mrs. Hector Good, Mission Hill, Penguin, aged 14 years. The first witness was David Hector Good, father of the deceased. He said that he was a labourer residing at Penguin, and on Wednesday, in the company of his son and Arthur Smith, he was carting sleepers from the Ironcliff Road to Penguin. When he returned to the Ironcliff Road for the second load of sleepers, he told his son to pull some saplings away from the stack of sleepers on one side while he did the same on the other side. The father completed his section of the work and commenced loading operations. He missed his son and called out to him. When he received no reply, he went around to the other side of the stack where he found his son lying on the ground with a number of sleepers on top of him. The witness removed the sleepers as quickly as he could. His son was badly hurt, his face being almost unrecognisable. Some little time after admission to the hospital, his son passed away. In his opinion, in the father's opinion that is, the fatality was purely accidental. He had identified the body as that of his son, Frank Hector Good. The second witness, Arthur Hazelwood Smith, corroborated the evidence given by the father. In addition, he noted that they were using a motor lorry to cart the sleepers to Penguin. He stated that the sleepers were stacked about 10 high, and the height of the stack would have been between 7 and 8 feet high, each sleeper weighing approximately 112 pounds. Move up the hill now to the next graves. The sudden death occurred in a skating rink at Penguin last night of William Alford Anton, only son of the late Captain Christian Anton. He was skating when he fell heavily, striking his head. He was removed to Mr. J.T. Stubbs' residence nearby, but on the arrival of the doctor, life was found to be extinct. An inquest will be held. The funeral will leave the residence of Mrs. Anton at 3 p.m. tomorrow for the Penguin Cemetery. The next article in the same paper reported there was a large and representative gathering at St. Stephen's Church Thursday afternoon to pay the last token of respect to the late William Anton, who died suddenly on Tuesday night. All parts of the district were represented, the utmost sympathy and respect being felt for the recently bereaved widowed mother, who has now lost her only son. Venerable Archdeacon Atkinson conducted a short solemn service in the church and at the graveside in the cemetery. The members of the local Loyal King Edward Lodge, IOOFMU, in regalia, preceded the hearse, the customary ritual being observed by the brethren present. Numerous beautiful floral tokens were received, including one from PNG Brother Athol Overall of the local lodge. Captain Christian Theodore Anton, CT Anton, also buried here. The death and funeral notices of Captain Christian Theodore Anton appeared in the Examiner newspaper on Saturday the 17th of March 1928. The death notice read, Anton, on the 16th of March, at his residence, Crescent Street, Penguin, Christian Theodore, beloved husband of Emma Anton, in his 87th year. A correspondent writing in The Advocate a week later recalled the life and times of 3 pioneers of the Penguin district. And to quote from that article, within a week, 3 old veterans associated with the development of the northwest coast have reached the bourne whence no traveller returns, and I desire to pay a tribute to their memory. Reached the bourne whence no traveller returns. What's a bourne? A bourne is a boundary, so it's the boundary from which they don't return. It's death. They've gone to the other side. Now I said there were 3 Captain Antons, and all lie here side by side in the Penguins Cemetery. Jens, Chris and Dan were excellent seamen of the old school. When he forsook the sea after a long seafaring life, Captain Chris Anton settled at Penguin, where he lived a retired life, passing away in March last year at the advanced age of 86. He celebrated his golden wedding a year before his death. I do have one ghost story for you this afternoon, because both the Zeehan and the Dundas Herald and the Daily Telegraph on Friday the 20th of July 1917 recalled a sad story of the past. The death of Captain Jens Anton, whose funeral took place on Wednesday at Devonport, revives a melancholy experience related by the captain after the death of his wife, which took place 36 years ago, or 2 years after their marriage. At the time, when their only child was born, Captain Anton remained at home, but everything appeared to be all right. He rejoined his vessel. He stated that on the trip he had a vision of his cabin being illuminated with light. His wife appeared to him, and he was so impressed that he wrote on the top of his cabin, "My wife died at 2 o'clock. His premonition proved unfortunately true. So these stories of the Captains Anton and their families recall for us the life and times of the pioneers of the Penguin district and the northwest coast of Tasmania. Transportation and trading, whether on land or on sea, was always slow by today's standards and often dangerous, relying on the skills of the master mariners, sea captains, coach drivers, horsemen and others. So let us remember the Antons and those early pioneers, both on sea and on land, before we move on to the next grave. In front of me here we have the graves of the Stanton family. The Daily Telegraph reported on the funeral in its Penguin column the following Tuesday. The funeral of the late Mr. W.J. Stanton took place on Sunday and was largely attended, it being about the largest funeral procession that has ever been here. The burial service was conducted by Reverend W. Earl, Anglican, and Reverend Walton, Methodist. The coffin was taken to St. Stephen's Church, where a short service was held by the Reverend W. Earl. The funeral of the late Miss Annie M. Stanton will leave the Penguin Railway Station on Friday, August the 29th, on arrival of the midday train from Launceston. Friends are invited to attend. The funeral notice in the same paper the following day advised that her funeral will leave Penguin Methodist Church on Saturday, August the 30th at 2:30 p.m. First notice said Friday after the midday train. Actually took place the following day, so I guess the midday train was late arriving or didn't come at all. John M. Stanton, the advocate, announced in the Saturday 19th of April 1924 edition that the sad news was received on Thursday that Mr. John Stanton, the well-known miner, had died in Melbourne the previous day. He had been a sufferer from miner's complaint for some time, and recent accounts have been discouraging, so that the bad news was not unexpected. The remains will be brought to Penguin and laid to rest in the General Cemetery on Tuesday next at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The deceased man was of sterling character as well as a good miner, and the news of his death will be read with regret by his many old friends on the West Coast, as well as by many along this coast. Our pioneers buried by the state. The discovery generating community interest which resulted in researching the 7 burials and erecting individual grave markers for each. This is known as Pauper's Row. These people had no family, no estate to pay for their funerals or their burials, so those costs were met by the state, and they're called paupers. This is Pauper's Row. Now it is likely that John Doe in this cemetery was Jeremiah or Michael Clifford, an itinerant Irish worker who died at his own hand near the Neptune silver mine just east of the township of Penguin in January 1915. Jeremiah or Michael is the last of the row on the row at the far end there. So without family to pay for his funeral, he was buried as a pauper at the expense of the state. Jeremiah or Michael lies here in Pauper's Row beside 6 other pauper men who died between 1900 and 1924.